Hello everyone, I welcome you all for our session 1 of chapter 7 Environmental Changes. Now, for today's session that we'll be discussing, before I discuss that, I just want to have a small discussion on the tasks that you're doing at home. So, I've been giving you regular tasks to do at home, but apart from that, also make sure that you do the documentation work properly. The documents which are sent to you, please make sure all of you do that sincerely. Your revision notes, be it your worksheet solutions. So, all these documents, please make sure you do it sincerely because to understand a chapter you need to constantly revise. Okay, and I think these tools which has been sent to you through worksheet and worksheet solutions, I think they work out fantastically in understanding the chapter. So please keep on doing the good work. Apart from that, the task that I give you at the end of the session, please also do that completely so that whatever is left out in understanding the concepts, I think that will go away with doing with the sincere work of completing the task given to you at the end of the session. So now in today's session, basically I'll be discussing about the main concepts which define the entire chapter, that is global warming. So the entire chapter is going to be focused on global warming. So I'm sure you all are familiar with this concept, and we are going to learn something more interesting about this concept. So in the first session, I've taken all the important concepts, say like global warming, then greenhouse effect, then greenhouse farming. Apart from that, there are so many other interesting topics that I'll be discussing today, which is all related to global warming. So let's get started for our session. Now, in this chapter, to understand global warming, we'll first have to understand some of the important concepts. So, we'll start with weather. The condition of the atmosphere at a place with respect to elements like humidity, temperature, wind speed, rainfall, etc. during a short period of time is known as weather. So, weather is basically the condition of the atmosphere, and here we are looking into some of the important aspects like humidity, temperature, wind speed, rainfall, etc. So, if there are any changes in this for a short period of time, then it can be termed as weather. So, it's basically for a short period of time. So, now we'll look into the other important concept called climate. Climate is the long term average of weather, typically averaged over a period of 35 years. The variables that are commonly measured are temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, etc. So, here in climate, it's actually the observation is for a long term, whereas in weather we see short term, whereas in climate we see it for long term. So, it's period of 35 years. So, constant observation is done, and only then the climatic conditions are declared of a particular place, and it is measured based on temperature, humidity, and atmospheric pressure. Now, the next topic is greenhouse effect, which is one of the main reasons for global warming. The greenhouse effect is a natural process that warms the Earth's surface. So, the normal warming that has been done by greenhouse gases that is very much required for the normal functioning of life. Now, when the sun's energy reaches the Earth's atmosphere, some of it is reflected back to space, and the rest is absorbed and re-radiated by greenhouse gases. So the solar radiation reaches the Earth's atmosphere, and some of this is reflected back into space. The rest of the sun's energy is absorbed by the land and the oceans, heating the Earth. Now, heat radiates from Earth towards space. Now, what happens is some of this heat is trapped by greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, keeping the Earth warm enough to sustain life. So, due to more and more of greenhouse gases that we are releasing, what is happening is extra heat is being observed by the greenhouse gases, and now this does not escape to space, it remains on the Earth's surface. So that creates the temperature to rise. So that is one of the reason why greenhouse effect is one of the main effect responsible for global warming. So now we'll look into the next topic, that is greenhouse gases, which is very important for us to understand global warming. Greenhouse gases are gases in Earth's atmosphere that traps heat. So greenhouse gases are actually trapping heat because they they try to maintain the temperature on the earth by creating warmness. They let sunlight pass through the atmosphere, but they prevent the heat that the sunlight brings from leaving the atmosphere. So they trap heat and let go the sunlight from the atmosphere. The main greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, carbon monoxide, etc., contribute in keeping the Earth's climate. So, the greenhouse gases are very much important in maintaining the climate, but when it goes in excess, then it tries to trap more heat, which leads to increase in temperature of the Earth. Now, the next topic is greenhouse farming. Greenhouse farming is the unique farm practice of growing crops within sheltered structures covered by a transparent or partially transparent material. So, this is actually a very unique form wherein the crops are grown, especially in the cold countries where the sunlight is very less. So, greenhouse farming is very popular, wherein the energy is saved and then they use for this kind of growing crops because the energy is saved through greenhouse gases. They absorb the heat and that heat has been used so that they cover with transparent or partially transparent material. The main purpose of greenhouses is to provide favorable growing conditions. So as you know that greenhouses are basically made in order to make sure that there is favorable growing conditions. So greenhouse gases absorb the heat and that heat is being used when the weather is not proper. So it also helps in protecting crops from unfavorable weather. So greenhouse farming is a very good option, especially in the countries where there is problem of sunlight, appropriate sunlight because of the cold weather. Now the last topic of this session is global warming. The main topic of the chapter is global warming. So first we'll understand what is global warming. Global warming is a gradual increase in the Earth's temperature, generally due to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and other pollutants. So global warming is actually a gradual increase in the Earth's temperature, and that basically happens because of greenhouse effect. And greenhouse effect is in turn because of the greenhouse gases, that is increased levels of carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and other pollutants. Now coming towards the end of the session, the task for home is to write down neatly in detail the greenhouse farming and greenhouse effect. Now these two important concepts are very important to understand global warming. So I want all of you to write down neatly as well as learn it, so that whenever you go through global warming as a concept as well as the procedure, then this concept is going to be very helpful in understanding global warming. So I want everyone to write down neatly in a book. Now for our next session, I'll be basically starting with causes and effects of global warming. So what you all can do is you can find out information and keep it handy, and also you can go through it so that whenever I teach you about these important topics, you'll also have some knowledge about it. So it's going to be very interesting. You're going to learn some of the interesting facts about global warming. So please make sure that you be ready with the information for our next session.